I'll be spending the next 50 days in Enshrouded, a voxel-based survival game full of magic and mysteries to discover, crazy bosses to fight, and all sorts of cute little critters to take home. It's just got a brand new update, and I'd like to see how much of it I can explore in only 50 days. A big thanks to Keen Games for sponsoring this video. Their latest update includes a dynamic weather system, the ability to tame farm animals and pets, villagers to join your camp, a higher level cap, a whole new icy mountainous biome called the Albavine Summits, and not to mention new enemies, animals, player abilities, items, and gameplay improvements too. So let's jump in and see what all the excitement is about. Good morning. Waking up from a very uncomfortable slumber, I made my way through some doors and into the dark. It wasn't dark for long, though. This fire lit in front of me and whispered a few things. Then a door opened behind it. I followed this path to the left next, taking a moment to look for another way down that didn't involve the dark cave ahead. Guess not. I headed inside, quickly changing my mind and turning around once it got dark.
I don't think I'm supposed to be in here.
Maybe I missed something. Yep, not one, but two torches right out front. That's better.
Still creepy, but less creepy.
I found a blocked path inside with some explosives conveniently nearby.
Careful. Oh, dang.
Hiding a chest with a ring inside. Next, I found myself at this creepy-looking place, full of the foggy-looking shroud. You can only stay in it for so long without dying, and as I entered, a new Enshrouded bar appeared above my head. Better keep an eye on that. I smashed a few of these little mushroomy-looking things before noticing this guy just chilling up ahead. I whacked him with my torch a couple times and then stole his sword to use on these other guys.
Yeah.
The shroud ended after that, and I got my first level up. The new update raises the level cap to 35. Drop your guess in the comments now. What level do you think I'll get to by the end? Outside the cave was a return beacon, which works like a respawn point, and as I stopped to rearrange my inventory, it started to rain.
It's raining.
I ate a berry for a quick snack, then spent the rest of my day exploring Longkeep. It was mostly abandoned.
Oh god, what are you?
Except for the rats, that is.
Okay, it was just a rat.
Yep. I tried to chill by this fire after that, until I accidentally hit the wrong button and punched it instead, promptly eating some raw meat right after.
Oh no.
And why not roll right into the fire while I'm at it too?
Oh, this is just the worst.
Maybe I should just go follow this quest marker. As the sun set, I made it to the plains, where it quickly turned night as a wolf ran right out of the woods.
No, that's a wolf. It's dark.
I ran back in the dark to Longkeep, where I'd seen a bed before.
Stop it.
I'm sure I'll get the hang of things tomorrow. Things certainly got more exciting on day 2. I started collecting rocks and sticks to build with. Met some bees and the wolf I'd seen. Which was a lot less scary in the day. Placed my flame altar to start my base, and accidentally dug a hole under this rock. Oops. I found more bees too.
I hate you.
Then chopped down some trees to build a workbench. With it, I can craft some blocks to start my house.
Oh, no.
By the end of the day, I had the beginnings of a home. But I still didn't have a bed and finished that night sleeping at Longkeep again. Day 3 was more of the same, building and fighting bees. I had a quick lunch after that and hunted some wolves for fur to make myself some clothes, then crafted this wand from their bones. It's another day, we're on day 4. I finally ventured into the dense shroud in the valley on day 4. Feeling a bit more confident, I figured it was time to explore.
No, stop that.
I wanted to find some shroud wood to make myself a glider. I found shroud liquid first in the mushrooms, then finally chopped down a tree. I did get the shroud wood from it.
Yes.
And then one of these spear guys snuck up on me.
Oh god, no.
I followed this path out of the shroud next, and got greeted by my toughest enemy yet. This wolf with a spike collar took a quarter of my health with just one bite. I was careful not to let it hit me again, and decided I should probably stay away from that place for now.
Whew.
I passed around it to the marker on my map, finding it was somewhere up above instead. There was a path up and a flame shrine too. Then I found this flintstone to mine before making my way up to the ancient vault of the blacksmith.
Anyone home?
There were some new enemies here too, though not as tough as the wolf.
No. Metal scraps. I've been needing that for stuff.
I finished them off and scavenged around before making my way in the vault where another new enemy was waiting.
Oh no. Okay, that's fine. I got this.
The vault was empty after that, other than a note and this glowing metal vessel. I expected him to wake up and come out of it like I did. Instead, though, I'll have to use a summoning staff at my base.
I wanna go home now. Leave me alone.
I traveled back through the shroud, making my glider first thing, then summoned Oswald the blacksmith.
Hello, good sir.
He can make metal things for me, like better tools and weapons. Too late now, though. I'll see you in the morning, Oswald. I stayed close to home on day 5, killing wolves for more fur so Oswald could make me some new armor.
Make that.
Then I worked on building him some shelter in return. He made me this new sword too, and I tested it out in this little cellar of shroud monsters nearby, finding a new wand in the chest inside. I ended the day chopping down trees and went to my room to find Oswald was there in my bed.
Good night. That's my bed. Excuse me? It's really not okay. Good night. It's a little freaky out here.
The morning of day 6, I finished up Oswald's shelter and assigned him a bed that was not mine. Then, after my kid chopped down this tree,
And everything. Oh yeah.
I headed back down into the shroud. This time, it was for a quest to clear the elixir well.
Oh, dang.
It was guarded pretty well for sure, with archers and a bunch of bugs out front.
No.
I was so distracted, I almost forgot to watch my Enshrouded timer and made a mad dash back out at the end.
Whew.
Maybe I'll just stay in Longkeep for now. I went back in the next day anyway, reaching level 3 as I fought through the enemies again.
Ooh, level 3.
Taking a quick break to use my skill points, then clearing out the rest of the enemies before making it to the top of the elixir well where a checkpoint waited. It cleared the shroud too, so I waited for a moment and started climbing down.
Ooh.
Inside was very ominous looking, but all I found to fight were bugs until I ran into this big guy.
That's a really big guy.
He was big and slow at least, allowing me to dodge his first big strike. Then, after seeing what my sword could do, I decided to give it a shot. I didn't do great, but it worked and I managed to defeat my first Thunder Brute.
Aha, I must run. I'll be back.
Running immediately out of the place next before my Enshrouded timer ran out.
That was scary.
Then going back in to chop down the big glowing shroud root. Looks like the shroud goes with it, and I could have just done that instead of climbing back out. If only I had realized at this point I could fast travel back to my base, I wouldn't have had to climb out another time too.
And it's almost nighttime.
With the Thunder Brute's head and some other bits and pieces, I was able to make the first upgrade to my flame, increasing my shroud timer and a few other things. I'd picked up this new Misfortune Mace too from the fight and decided to test it out at the place with the Spike Wolf on day 8.
Oh yeah.
It was full of these level 3 scavengers, and I combined it with my ranged weapons to fight through them. Then scavenged their camp for myself, finding a couple things locked, then a note and a new wand. I'd collected a ton of metal scraps from them though, and took them home to make some lockpicks with the blacksmith. I'll be back tomorrow. I upgraded my mace too, using these things called runes. Then went back on day 9 to fight through the same enemies one more time. I used the lockpicks on the chest and this house, only to find I could have actually just climbed up the trellis in the back instead.
Oh.
I continued exploring after that, blowing up a lot of things, including myself when I searched this trap that was left as some sort of prank.
Oh.
Joke's on you, Skelly. At least I respawn. I cooked up some wolf meat the next morning, then headed off to test this new grappling hook I'd made. The Braylon Bridge was looking pretty rough, but crossing it was fun. I followed the path after to find it blocked by more scavengers to fight, clearing them out before arriving at my first ancient spire. These don't really have any enemies, instead it's more like a platforming puzzle.
That was a moment.
I had a couple close calls, eventually making it to the top.
Don't glide. Whatever you do, don't glide. Woo!
Where I unlocked the ability to fast travel back. And that's when I realized I'd been able to fast travel home all this time.
Have I been able to fast travel home this whole time and I didn't know it? Yeah.
I glided from the top of the spire the next day and ended up at this place called the Harvest Homestead, where I found a field of corn. Further up, at a place called Woodguard, this creepy skeleton ran at me like a horror movie, and there on one of the roofs I found these tomatoes and flowers, along with several mushrooms. After that, I made my way through some wolves to this obelisk where I got a ton of XP and hit level 4. Then, you know what sounds fun? A dark crypt full of spiders. I did find this nice bow and sword in there, though. I made the blacksmith a forge on day 12 and started some metal sheets. Now I think I'll go find the alchemist. There were scavengers at the entrance of this vault shooting explosives. They'd have been easier to deal with without all the mud. I smashed through the rest of them and grabbed this chest too, then headed inside to find a few more to fight. There were chests here too, and eventually a room with the alchemist's glowing vessel.
I got a new friend. Gonna name him Ben.
I explored some more afterwards, finding this cave with some baddies hanging around, and a chest with a very cool looking whaling blade inside. It was nice and all, but I upgraded my mace one last time instead for a health leech. Then used the metal sheets to start on a new set of armor.
Hello.
I summoned Balthazar the alchemist next, and spent the rest of the day building him a little room behind mine.
And okay, here?
I even decorated some this time. He told me about a carpenter trapped in a vault too we could rescue. Then, after checking out what he could craft, I made him a grinder and started grinding up some bones.
Good night.
I was still building the next morning and finished up my new rising fighting armor set.
Boots. Thank you.
Then headed back into the shroud and ended up at another elixir well. After defeating the Thunderbrute there and chopping down the shroud root, I wandered into this flint mine and got one more level up. Late that night, I found myself in the dark fighting some fuzzy-looking fellows. I'm not sure what they are, but I'll come back tomorrow. I could see them better the next morning as I smashed them with my mace. Then I ate some raw wolf meat by accident before I raided their place. More of them were guarding the hunter's vault, which I'd set my sights on next. On the inside, though, it looks like the vault had guarded itself just fine. Luckily, I managed to make it through the traps alive, finding Athlin Scree the hunter inside. After that, I made my way to the carpenter's vault, which was in the shroud and guarded by much higher level enemies. Good thing I've got these nice weapons to help. This vault looked a lot different than the others. I slid down into a pit full of these beetles and their nests to smash. Turns out that life leech on my mace was a great choice. I took a quick break from the shroud and went back down, finding the next room didn't seem to have a way back out. I took the slide anyway and found myself facing not one, but two very creepy floating enemies I couldn't reach with my amazing mace, and no way to run back out of the place. Instead, running ahead and hoping for the best, I got lucky and they both seemed to just lose interest. That seemed a bit cheaty though, so instead I took them on one by one, shooting them with my bow. I blew my way through the next part of the cave, finding one more of the floaty fell guarding the room with the vessel. I was out of arrows now and switched over to my wand to fight this one off. Then freed the carpenter to find my way back outside to see, well, I couldn't see. It was dark. I got another level when I summoned the hunter and finished the quest, then made her a bed in the alchemist's room and expanded the blacksmith's area to make a space for the carpenter, Cade. They both gave me more quests, but instead I took a moment to upgrade my own bed. The hunter could make these drying racks for dried berries and fur, which I'll need more salt for. Then I used these shroud cores the crazy floating enemies had dropped to upgrade my flame altar, which increases your building space. I met some nice rats in Ferndale on day 17. Thought about doing this elixir well, but changed my mind. Fought a couple of these fuzzy vuka instead, and then stopped by these giant doors that wouldn't open yet. I ended up spotting these bats next. They were hanging around this graveyard full of skeletons to fight. I unlocked the door behind them and found myself in Necropolis. It was full of skeletons, which are called the Hollow. They were easy enough to smash with my mace. Now, if I could just figure out how to open this door. I found another door I could use a lockpick on, then squeezed my way past these electric traps inside. Probably not the way you're supposed to do it, but I got it done. After that, I glided over to a place called Westcott and fought my way to level 7. I started day 18 with another low-level elixir well. This one didn't even have a thunder brute guarding it, only a bunch of the usual fell enemies to fight. Made me feel good about myself, smashing through them so easily though, and I got some skill points from chopping down the root. Then I made my way to the salt mines for one of the hunter's quests. It was easy enough to get to, other than this horde of bugs that snuck up on me. I found the salt and some other goodies, then found myself in the dark trying to escape the shroud that night. You can only use fast travel if you're safely out of it, but luckily I'd noticed this path up on my way in. The salt is good for drying fur, like the ones I got from these wolves early on day 19. They were hanging out below this place called the Hill of Scavengers. It seemed friendly enough, with only level 7 enemies. After the level 9s I was fighting the other day, I wasn't worried, and cleared out all the scavengers before waltzing myself right into a boss fight. It was a very large scavenger gorger matron, and she threw some horrible green poison stuff at me that didn't do too much damage, or so I thought. As I ran, I realized I was poisoned and it just wouldn't stop. I ate a berry for health regeneration and used several bandages just trying to stay alive. I thought for sure it was the end, but somehow I survived. I'm gonna have to find a poison antidote before trying that again. I set off for the alchemist's tower after that, hoping that finding his mortar might help me with making an antidote. On the way, I ended up in a different looking forest and ran into a new creature I hadn't seen before. These level 11 boar. I also found copper, flax, indigo plants, and hazelnuts here. It got late though, and I had to go home.
Seriously?
Feeling like I should probably get some more levels before going back, I set off for the Ring of Rot. This led me to a shroud root out in the open, where I met another fell thunder brute.
Oh, excuse me. Hello.
I dealt with it, and then despite all the stuff here only being level 5, it was a really tough fight.
Oh, hello.
These screaming floaty guys are just the worst, and ran me completely out of the shroud.
Run away.
I managed to finish them off with my wand, though, and then chopped down the root for one more skill point to use.
Chop, chop, chop. Hey, hey.
I stuck around long enough to kill some stuff so I could level up, then headed to the Low Meadows Ancient Spire to climb. It was full of spikes, shocking traps, buttons to push, and did I mention spikes?
Oh. No. Oh my god. This is bad. Stop it.
This one had lava too, and a Spider-Man swing, making for a nice break from killing things.
We did it.
Day 21 was a rough one. I used the new spire to glide over to this random house in the shroud. Fighting through the fell enemies there was easy enough. I even found a chest with a better bow inside.
Oh, no.
But then I thought it'd be a good idea to jump across this fancy red river. Except I forgot to jump.
Well, now I know what that does. Lessons learned.
Later, things only got worse. I found a break in the shroud fighting these wolves. Then, as I was trying to get this shroud bubble, I slid right back into the red. I managed to get out in time, but found myself with nowhere to go.
Okay. Oh, I'm so screwed.
Eventually, I found a way to squeak along this ledge to escape. My shroud protection was so low, though, it was already too late.
No, I'm right there.
Well, at least I got this new bow out of the deal. I didn't get my stuff back till the next morning and went looking for another obelisk. The path took me through this place called Hillock, full of level 9 scavengers. I thought I'd finished most of them when this crazy-looking green guy came out of nowhere. I got in a few good licks, but he put me on the run. No, I can't do it. And I took a cheap shot to finish him off. After that place, there was a broken bridge up ahead, guarded by more scavengers. It wasn't much further to the obelisk, where I got another skill point and enough experience to hit level 9. I was excited to have enough dried fur the next day to expand my backpack, and decided to try again to get to the Alchemist Tower. These new level 11 flower monsters in the shroud scared me enough I decided to turn around though. Then I went looking for the nearby Queen's tomb instead, spending the rest of the day just trying to find it. It was mostly my fault. I don't think I was supposed to go this way, and eventually decided to go around the mountain when I ran right into these wolves. Behind them was the tomb. I had to log out though and log back in to find myself at home. Well, that's okay, at least I know where it is now. I didn't go back to it the next day, instead spending more of the day than I'd like to admit, looking for the carpenter's treasure hidden at Braylon Bridge. Yeah, I didn't find it. Maybe another spider tome then. After that, I ended up at this place called Fort Kelvin, fighting more Wookiees, before going home to place some more of these magic storage boxes. I'd placed the first ones forever ago. They allow you to craft stuff from storage, which is something I'm getting so used to in games, I just can't hardly stand to live without it. On day 25, I visited another hidden tomb, clearing out a few skeletons there, then made a big boo-boo when I ran right into more of the red. Thankfully, I got out fast enough and took my anger out on these fel. Then I decided to try again to get to the Alchemist Tower. I found this amber on the way, and while I was at it, just hopped all the way up to the tower. This is definitely not the way you're supposed to go, but it worked. Outside was a blue version of the crazy flowers, and I shot it with my bow, before heading inside to find all sorts of rats. Balthazar had mentioned a cat too, and sure enough, there it was.
What's a cat? No.
I didn't have the cat bait, so I guess that will have to wait. In the basement, I found the mortar locked behind this door, and figured I just needed a lockpick. I shall return. Well, after I deal with whatever distractions might get in the way, like going to the farmer's vault. With just a bit of light left in the day, I thought I'd try to check off one more thing, making my way up the mountain to the vault. The location experience helped me hit level 10, and inside I found this one was full of traps and puzzles again. Welcome to the club, Emily. I didn't have time to make another room and shoved her in with the hunter and alchemist. Sorry, I've got places to be and stuff to do, like fighting this giant VUCA brawler.
Who are you? Oh my god. Excuse me, sir.
I made sure to deal with its healers first, throwing in this skull thing I'd gotten from a skeleton. It joined the fight and does pretty decent damage too.
Oh yeah.
Before long, it was gone though, and I found myself all alone.
Okay, yeah. Run. Oh. Stepped in the mud. In the mud again. Oh, mud. Get out of the mud. Slowly but surely. Oh, ow. Dang it. Run. Wow. Yeah. Whew.
When it was finally defeated, I collected the soul of Mary Ann Reed from the middle of the pit. Then I'm not sure what I thought I'd find in this grave nearby. The sword sticking out just seemed so tempting I dug it up, only to find nothing inside.
Okay, kind of feel bad about that now. Good morning. Another day in the neighborhood. I think that's how it goes.
Day 27, I finally ended up back at the Queen's Tomb, or Mistberry Catacombs, where I found plenty of the Blue Fell to fight, including more of the awful floating ones, stuff to climb, explosions to make, buttons to find, spikes to avoid, and even a Spidey swing.
Oh no.
Before eventually getting inside the tomb to find this very cool-looking shield. I'd almost forgotten the poor soul I'd found, Mary Ann, and on day 28 I finally summoned her and got her a bed. Sorry about that. Then I spent the day clearing out Westcott, looking for the hunter's spindle so I could make some linen. I didn't find it, but a note instead that led me to this nearby camp, where I found a chest and another note. Oh, and bees.
Sorry about that.
The next marker was really far away. My next level wasn't, though. I finished the day reaching level 11 at the Necropolis again.
Woohoo!
Where I finally realized you could smash some doors with an axe instead of wasting a lockpick. Here's Solo! Day 29, I took on another elixir well. This one had level 9 enemies and a Thunder Brute.
Holy cow.
Plus this hole of red shroud just for me. You lose your rested buff and any food buffs when you die, making it a lot harder to deal with the big guy.
Dang it.
I pulled it off anyway and chopped down the root for one more skill point to use. After that, I ended up in this forest to the north, where I found my first strawberries. I placed a second flame altar there so I could fast travel back. The farmer lady had been wanting some strawberries, so I took them to her, finally getting to work on this seed bed she can craft, where I'll be able to make all sorts of seeds to plant. I used some skill points on day 30 to unlock this jump attack, then headed off to try and reach the Revelwood for that spindle when I ended up at this place called Willow Crush. I walked through a bit of extra deadly shroud outside its walls, and noticed the fog below its bridge was colored a dangerous looking red. I'm sure it's fine. So I went in to fight my way through the scavengers there, eventually remembering to use my new jump attack. Then I thought I'd try crossing that bridge. Yeah, it wasn't fine. I got my stuff back at the top of the bridge and jumped down to try again. Careful not to use my glider this time, I made it across safely, only to find a bunch of these giant creepy walking mushrooms on the other side. After spotting this one mid-fight, I took the opportunity to attack it, and it attacked back. I finished off the last of its health, and in the dust left behind, I found this poison sack, which unlocked the poison antidote. Ooh, I've been looking for that. I tried to attack one more after that, and it came for me too, until I hit it with fire from my wand and it ran away. I thought about chasing it until I saw its buddy hiding behind the tree. You know what? I think that might just be enough for today. Day 31, I grabbed a lockpick and finally headed back to get the mortar at the Alchemist's Tower, taking the right way in this time. There were these crazy-looking blue hogs in the shroud here, and some ruins full of fel, including this big level 15 guy that came out of nowhere. Then, closer to the tower, more of these blue flowers, which apparently shoot shroud bombs at you. Oh, I didn't even see that one there. Eventually, I made it all the way back to the tower, and wouldn't you know it, the darn door didn't even need a lockpick after all. It was blocked, not locked. Turns out I'd just missed a button upstairs. I could have gotten it when I was here before and just didn't know it. I found this crazy-looking bat cave after that, which is apparently full of that extra deadly shroud. Then I spent the rest of the day getting a bit more experience before dark, when I went home to place the mortar and leveled up. Now I just need some milk to make that antidote, and I'll be able to take on the crazy poison-throwing lady, the Scavenger Matron. Today, though, I'm off to the Revelwood Spire. I fought my way back to the Red Shroud Bridge again, and after getting across the bridge this time, I added a new flame altar just in case I didn't unlock the tower today. Then I headed through this very dangerous looking and dark cave. There was a red shroud and lots of hogs, and one of those orange flowers spit this awful thing on my head. I made my way past it and to the spire, ready to take on the traps. Electric balls, lava balls, buttons, spikes, goodie chests, and buttons to shoot too. Towards the end, I found this very nice Banebringer bow, and late that night, I made it to the top. When I got back, Oswald asked me to go looking for his crucible. Guess I might try to do that tomorrow. But first, I want to catch some animals. I finally found the goat and rabbit bait and went looking for some critters. I found one of the little hop hares first, throwing it a piece of bait. Careful not to startle it, I crouched up to pet it as it ate. Then, with the goat, I did just the same. I was pretty excited about them, but put them in storage for now. I hadn't made their food yet and wasn't sure if they would starve, which would make me feel pretty bad. I upgraded the new bow and a mace I'd found after that, and headed off to look for the crucible. It led me to this scavenger-infested mine called the Mark of Samoth. I fought through them and looked right at the place the crucible was hiding before going right past it. I was so focused on the note and this chest, I didn't even catch it. Looking all over the rest of this place until giving up late that night. I know what will cheer me up though, some building. I worked all day on a little shelter for the animals, then made them some food and beds with the farmer. There you go. I finished the night planting these shrubs I'd made with the seed bed. I'm assuming you can collect fiber from them, but if not, they'll make some nice decorations around our base at least. I roasted some boar meat the next morning. It gives better health than the smaller game. Then I went to collect more goats and rabbits again. I spotted this bug-filled crevice while I was out and went in to explore it. Turns out it was just filled with salt to mine. Maybe I'll just get some experience for a while. I put out the new animals I'd caught that night and found all the shrubs had grown. This is definitely the best way to get fiber. By the morning of day 36, the goats had milk to collect and I was finally able to use it, poison sac, and some coal powder to make the antidote. Then headed back to the Hill of Scavengers to take on their boss. It still wasn't an easy fight, but thanks to the antidote, I managed to survive, eventually finishing her off to unlock a new and improved grappling hook.
Yes!
After that, I went back again to the Mark of Samoth, looking for the blacksmith's crucible.
Woohoo!
This time I paid more attention to my marker and ended up trying to dig through this copper to get to it. It took me a minute, but I realized that definitely wasn't it.
I completely missed this.
And finally found the rubble-blocked entrance to the room with the glowing crucible inside. Oh, that was a lot easier than I made it. Just like a lot of things, actually. Back at base that night, I talked to the blacksmith about his crucible. I can use it to make him a smelter, but I'll need a bunch of fired brick first. And to make those, I need to get clay for the carpenter's kiln. Until then, I can make this upgraded grappling hook, though. I was going to upgrade my flame, too, but forgot I needed more flintstone first. The next morning, I got some good news, though. The hunter told me of a stray dog I can find. I made some dog bait and headed off to get some flintstone first. Then I checked out this pile of bones that ended up being a VUCA sacrifice pit Mary Ann Reed had told me about. I found an obelisk in the Revelwood next, and just by it, the clay I was looking for. I'd seen it before several times, but just thought it was amber. I gathered it until my pick broke and made my way to Thornhold. The stray dog is supposed to be here somewhere, along with a saw the carpenter needs, so I started by making the place a little more friendly. The marker for the saw blade sent me somewhere else next, and I started looking for the dog instead. Sorry, you guys are not the dog I'm looking for. Eventually, I cleared out all the baddies, and then there was the dog. I accidentally scared it off when I got hungry and ate a quick snack. By nightfall, though, we'd made good friends, and I stuffed it in my backpack. You can sleep in my room. Its name was Ruffles, and I fixed it this cute little dog bed and bowl. And now with the matron head, I can finally upgrade my flame to level 3, increasing my shroud timer a bit. upping my character stat, increasing my shroud level passage, which I didn't realize until later was what all that red fog was about. I continued searching for the saw blades on day 38, ending up in a place called Fonsong Frontier. It was guarded by scavengers, of course, but I didn't have to fight through too many to get to the blades. Behind them, though, was a bridge to a tower I lured some enemies across to blow up. While I was fighting the last of them, I noticed a big matron making her way across. I wasn't expecting to see another, and didn't even notice the different name. The other had been a scavenger gorger matron. This one was a grizzler instead. Along with the usual attacks, she blew a horn and 2 wolves appeared to join the fight. I led her all over the camp, running in to attack when I could. My patience paid off, and after finishing her with a big roll smash, I crossed the bridge to see what was so awesome in that tower she was guarding. A sneaky trap and a nice shiny set of warrior arms. I'll take it. I mined clay after that until I hit level 14. Then, with just a bit of day left, I went back to Thornhold just for fun, and ended up finding there was another dog. Now I have 2 ruffles. And I got home to find a couple of baby goats. Day 39, I used the clay to make the kiln I needed for bricks, then used the saw blades for this table saw for planks. I chopped some wood to make them, not sure why, but some of it just floated away that day. I gathered water for seedlings too, and placed more of these seed beds to help me start a farm. Then it was back to the rebel wood to finally find the hunter's spindle. The quest led me to this web-covered cave full of spiders. I wasn't worried really and smashed through them easily. In the last room though, I got quite the fright when this extra large spider jumped and pinned me down. As if that wasn't bad enough, I turned around and ran right into a second one. Nope, that was not nice at all. I dealt with them both and mined this interesting blue stuff, before finally retrieving the hunter's spindle I'd been looking for so long. I took it home to finish the quest and put some flax in to start making linen. Then that night I added more shelter at the barn, extending the roof so I could add more beds for more babies. I had enough brick to make the smelter on day 40 and started some copper bars, then had enough linen from the spindle to make this new advanced glider. Ooh, that is very exciting. I wanted to test it out, but first I've got some plants to plant and shrubs to rip up. I fast traveled next to a flame altar I'd placed and grappled up to this platform. I'd unlocked a new double jump too and used it for a boost, checking out my new fancy glider. It wasn't as good as jumping off a spire, but I know there's flax here and I found some copper too. Mostly though, I wanted to take out one of the elixir wells nearby for another skill point. This one wasn't too bad. A few bugs, a sword guy, archer, some explosives, one floaty screamy guy, a couple unfriendly flowers, and finally a thunder brute that distracted me so much I never even saw this hole full of red. Well, darn. The second time, I was careful to watch for the holes, trying not to fall in the red while also trying not to get smashed on the head, neither of which I succeeded at. As I was getting close to finishing him, I ran right into another hole. I managed to survive at least and jumped out, turning to fight the brute to find he was gone. Oh, he fell in the hole. I tried to finish him only to see his health go right back up. Then I remembered how low my shroud protection was and ran over to chop down the root just in time. Guess you'll just get to stay down there. Sorry, buddy. I went searching for a fireplace the farmer wanted the next day and ended up in a bit over my head, then spent the rest of the day gathering copper for better armor instead. Realizing I was running out of days, I decided to stay up all night building just for fun. I'm pretty sure I could spend a whole nother 50 days just building things. After finishing with a bit of decorating and gardening the next morning, I scooped up some water for the well for more potions and headed off on a random quest to find another soul. This one was in a wolf cave and ended up being a farmer too, and I gave him a bed in one of my new rooms. Now I think I'll stay up late and test out this rake. I followed a quest to this place called the Passage to the Blackmire on day 43. The creepy sounds coming from inside it scared me away though, and I traveled instead to a place called Glenwood's Inn, where I fought my way to level 15. I could see the health bar for another scavenger matron, but never could find her. I did find this chest with an infernal wand, though. Look, all my plants are done. I can finally make more goat food. Why not decorate some more too? Perfect. I took on 2 elixir wells the next day, wanting a few more skill points before trying to take on one more boss, the Fell Wisp Wyvern. I needed its head for the 4th flame upgrade, but didn't feel like I was quite ready yet. The first well I went to was easy enough. The second, though, I didn't even make it inside before dying. We're off to a great start. Let's try that again. I had a new grappling hook skill I wanted to use that pulls you into big enemies, but when I got to the Thunder Brute boss, there were 2 instead. That ruined my plans a bit as I struggled to do anything with both of them attacking me, much less try the new move. Then I realized I didn't have enough shroud timer left. I ran up the stairs and was surprised to see them following me. I have no idea what happened next here. I just heard a big boom and one of them was gone. No complaints from me. I rushed to climb out, my stamina making me fall, and started to worry I wouldn't make it out in time after all. But I kept calm and sat down, making it out on my next try and to the beacon just in time. Back in the well, I finally got to try out the grapple hook pull, pulling myself right into the Thunder Brute's kick. Well, that didn't go like I thought it would. With the extra skill points I earned, I was able to unlock an upgraded jump attack for extra damage from the double jump, and it was well worth it. In fact, I just spent most of day 45 running around smashing things with it.
Fly right in here. Oops. Sorry. Excuse me.
I decided to brave the Blackmire Passage on day 46, wanting to unlock the spire there, and prepared for the worst on the other side of these routes. Only to find out the shroud actually ends here, and there was nothing to fear. I feel a bit dumb now. The passage was actually very peaceful, with these fun little trampolines to bounce across. At the end, there was a big pit of tar. I was tempted by this guy's loot until I realized I was quickly sinking. You know what? I don't think I really need any of that anyway. I fought this tar beast with my wand, afraid to get too close. Then, when I was trying to loot it, I accidentally glided right into the tar. Never mind, you can just keep it. After the pit, I met this cute little glowy pink orb. I wondered what it was doing as it made another of itself. Then, as it made one more, I started to worry. Nope, that's definitely not good. The path here led to a cave with the fuzzy Vuka inside. I knew I was short on daylight though and decided to go around. Another of the little pink orbs was following me part of the way, and by the time I noticed it had turned into 4, I tried to smash them, but I'm pretty sure they just smashed me. Then I glided past everything else right to the base of the spire. It was up on this cliff and I couldn't find a way up. Making my way around, I spotted these roots just as it got too dark to see. I decided my best option was climbing up the roots where I spotted the stairs as this wasp came up behind me. See ya, Felicia. I'd made it to the spire just in time. Now, if I can just make it to the top. It was more of the usual traps, but because of the dark, I wandered around for a long time before finding these little platforms that led outside. It went to another section of traps, and then more terrifying jumps outside. Then the rain started again, and it only got worse. My torch was out and I couldn't see a thing, literally stuck out on a limb. Just great. Luckily, I remembered that my wand made a bit of light, so I pulled it out and started casting. I managed to see enough to make a very scary leap. I survived and my torch worked again as I made my way to this funky-looking flower. Come to find out, they work like trampolines too. Compared to all that, the rest of my way was a piece of cake, and I finished it up as the sun rose on day 47. Before going home, I glided down into the Vuka village below. There was a new spear-throwing one here, and then I opened this door to find another new one on the other side. It was covered in bone armor and managed to hit me a few times before I even knew what was going on. You know what? I've got some dirt I need to dig back home. I need it and some bug dust to make this goo for the next flame upgrade. After that, I decided to see about going to Pikesmead's Reach. This grapple swing on the way gave me a little trouble. Then I ended up going into the shroud and climbing up out of it to place a flame altar so I could fast travel here. The sun was setting and I'd rather not be in the shroud when it does. I had a little bit of sunlight left though, and ended up stopping by the Revelwood to gather some extra flax when I found this stinging nettle. I'd been needing it for something really exciting. Cat bait. I used the flax for linen the next morning to work on this really cool looking adventure armor set. Then I headed straight to the alchemist's tower again, gliding straight onto its roof this time with my better glider. I cleared out the rats, almost hitting the cat. I didn't though, and after a few treats he forgave me. Now get in the bag, Tiger, I'm taking you home. I went to check out a place next I'd been hearing about called the Hollow Halls. This place was added in a previous update and is absolutely full of the hollow skeleton enemies. They may have only been level 10, but there were a bunch of them. I saw several running down this hallway. When I got there, though, they were gone. That's not creepy at all. I smashed through a few more and found a room with red marble fragments to grab. Then I made my way down this big hole of no return. Inside it was plenty more of the hollow to face, and these green things to collect that unlocked a barrier. I almost didn't find this one down below, and then glided myself right into the very clearly dangerous green stuff. Luckily, it wasn't the instant death sort of thing, and I managed to escape, just so I could jump right back in again. The room after that seemed easy enough until I finished off this guy and didn't notice these doors open up. All of a sudden, there was a lot more skeletons to fight, with a new, tough, armored scythe guy. If it hadn't been for this broken bridge to jump across, there's no way I could have defeated them all. Then, not realizing I'd missed one, I went looking for a way to open the barrier, instead finding some shiny stuff to take home. Eventually, I spotted him hiding behind this fire. Oh, there you are. When I finished him, the next set of doors opened, sending me another wave to battle. This one unlocked the barrier, and finally I was through, releasing the soul of Crowley the Collector. I'd spent all night and a good chunk of day 49 down in the Hollow Halls collecting the Collector. There are more of them to explore, but I've got a wisp wyvern to face. On day 50, I fast-traveled back to the altar I'd made and headed over to Pikemead's Reach. I didn't really want to end up fighting the wyvern in the dark, so I made my way to the highest place I could find and glided as far as I could. I found this flame sanctum on the way and hit level 17, then jump smashed right into a pit full of fell to chop down this shroud root. And not long after, in my rush, I did something dumb again. Shh, let's just pretend that one didn't happen. I glided and double jumped my way to the castle, eventually making it to another return beacon where I rested for a moment and wondered how this was going to go. With my rest full and no reason left to procrastinate though, I used every random buff I could and jumped into the pit. At first, I wasn't sure if I needed to do anything else, but the wisp wyvern jumped in too and it was on. He pounced on me first, then shot some blue meteors into the sky. Flame breath was next, and then he summoned some bugs too. I tried to attack after his next pounce, but wouldn't you know it, he's got a tailspin. How nice. My mace and bow weren't doing great, and my wand was even worse. I just kept picking away at him though, little by little lowering his health and trying to stay alive myself. When he was down to about half, I tried shooting him in the head, and it went straight into his mouth instead, causing some sort of explosion that stunned him. If only these stupid bugs weren't in the way. I did manage to get in a few attacks before he came to, but now I know the trick. I shot him in the mouth again and finished him off with a mace to the face. Sorry about that, buddy. I just really need your head for my fire. He had a fancy ring and key too, with a nice wand in the castle to find. Then I went home for a very nice welcome after the fight. At the end of day 50, I'd reached flame level 4 and character level 17, rescued all the survivors from their vaults, and had so much fun I'd really like to finish this one. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface and wasn't even close to reaching the biggest part of their new update, the Albavine Summits. There you'll find new survival challenges dealing with the freezing cold and snow, slippery slopes of ice, new enemies and bosses to defeat, new gear to collect, and lots more adventures to be had. Be sure to check it out for yourself on Steam for PC through my link in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. I'd love an excuse to try and finish this game with another 50 days. Let's see if we can get 3,000 likes and I'll return to Embervale. Until then though, I'm guessing you'll like this next video.